We had about 450 kids playing in this program last year. We're up to almost 720 this year, so that's a 60% increase. There's a lot of factors there probably involved in that increase, but the bottom line is we've got a lot of new kids to the program and a great opportunity to help them develop the skills and the interest in the game that they're going to need to enjoy baseball and softball for the duration of their lives. So that's a really unique privilege, and all of you here have taken that challenge and volunteered your time to help deliver that message to them, and I'm extremely appreciative of that. So thanks for coming here tonight to learn more about what our vision for the program is, your willingness to learn, your willingness to discover ways to connect with these kids during the season. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to be getting into. So just a quick introduction. My name is Nate Baldwin. I'm the Recreation Coordinator for Youth Sports for the City of Appleton. Only been here a short time. I don't even know if it's been 6 months yet. Has it even been? It's close. I had about a 12-year history of running youth and adult sports programs as a private organization, an organization I started. So this is really my first opportunity to get into a kind of a legacy program such as what Appleton has here and help drive that forward. So I'm really excited about that opportunity, and I've tried to inject a lot of my enthusiasm and ideas into this program this year, and I'm excited about where we can take it. So my contact information is on the agenda that's in your coach's packet, phone number and email. If you've got questions about the program direction, comments, feedback, I would love to hear all of those things. So feel free to contact me anytime. Okay, I want to be accessible to you. Recreation manager happens to be in attendance as well. Nikki Wendt is to my left here. So she oversees the recreation program as a whole, and she has definitely been a great resource for me as I'm learning the ropes of dealing with a municipal program. The site supervisor, this is the person that will be on site each night on Monday nights for most of you, on Tuesday nights for some of the T-ball coaches. This is the person that will be on site each night and is your primary resource on the grounds while your games are going on. Her name is Rosie Wetstein. Phone number is listed there. I hope she's got softball regionals tonight. She's a coach for a high school team, and she's got regionals tonight, so I'm hoping we'll see her before we're done here tonight. Okay, I'm going to skip down real quick. Number 2, we've got our league overview. I'm going to skip down to your coaches' packets because we've all got those in front of you right now. I want to go through what's inside of those, and then we'll kind of go through some of the details of that. Inside your coaches' packet, we have got, first of all, this agenda for tonight. We have got your game schedules. A lot of you have been asking me about game schedules. Those are in your packets. We've got rules included in your packets that are specific to the league that you are coaching. Okay? We have field maps. In the past, this hasn't been that big of an issue. This year it is because of the explosion in numbers. We are going to be extremely taxed on available space, okay? And so we've had to make some adjustments because of that, and that field map is going to come in very handy, especially on Monday nights. We'll get into that in a little bit. Lesson plans. This is the final piece of your packet, and I understand we have a very wide variance in this room of experience, and I think that's a great thing because I think we can all learn from each other, and we're going to have an opportunity in a little bit to work together at our tables to share some of the best practices. I'm really going to lean on some of you that have more experience to make the newbies a little more comfortable as they head into the season. I know there's a lot of anxiety. I've been a new coach before. I understand what that anxiety is like. So we're going to have an opportunity to share some of that experience, and a lot of that gets into lesson planning. So we're going to talk more about where we want to take this program as a whole and exactly how we're going to achieve that, especially starting at those younger ages, making sure that everyone is kind of progressing at the same general rate, focusing on the same things and preparing them for that next level. So we've got lesson plans included here that will help you get to those points and help make our games a lot more interesting, competitive, and balanced, which I think is a positive thing. Okay, so let's go over the league real quick. The season is upon us. It starts June 8th. That's a Monday. It runs through July 28th. 27th would be that Monday, 28th is the Tuesday. We are not going to have games the week of June 29th. That is the week preceding the 4th of July holiday. I think 4th of July is on a Saturday this year. So I think Friday is the day that most employers are giving off. So we didn't want to, I guess we didn't want to get in the way of family vacations and such. So we're gonna take that week off. Our rain dates, if we run into any weather-related issues, are going to be August 3rd and 4th. Talked briefly about field locations. So if you pull out your map, it looks like this. We're introducing a concept this year for T-ball, and it's called our T-ball Training Center. There is a large, open, square, generally square, space at the bottom of the sledding hill, back there, near the Universal Playground, near the pond. This idea is to take our T-ball kids, our brand new learners, kind of away from the chaos of the fields on any given night, give them their own dedicated area where they can concentrate on the game that they're learning brand new, fresh, and also give parents a little more freedom of movement, especially those parents that have younger siblings, gives them access to the playground, gives them access to the restrooms, gives them access to the hill. It keeps everything in a more compact area, okay? So we're calling that area our T-ball Training Center. You see my lovely handwriting here on the map towards the center of the park, across Witzke Boulevard from the main diamonds. On Monday nights, it's going to be crazy out here. We're going to be using, because of the turnout, we're going to be using all 7 diamonds from 4:45 until 8:30, I believe. We're also going to be using these T-ball fields all the way up until about 7:30. So there's a lot going on out here on Monday nights. For the Tuesday night T-ball, those games will be, since that's the only program going on Tuesday nights, those games will be on the regular softball diamonds as usual. Okay? Any questions about field layout? Any questions about reasons, anything at all about how we're laying out that season this year?
Yeah, is there going to be lines painted?
There are going to be lines painted. Bases are going to be throw-down bases, throw-down style bases. The bases will be there. Pitcher's area will be defined. We're even trying to define spectator areas because the one thing that area is lacking is fencing. So for the kids that are swinging for the first time, get excited to chuck their bat, we're going to define some areas that are safe for people to sit and watch. Okay. Good question. Any other questions about that? Is that a new concept?
Mark says T-ball Monday only versus Tuesday.
Tuesday is back at the regular diamonds. Any other questions about that?
Parking for that?
So this lot is going to be great for parking because there's a path that cuts right through, right to the fields. And also there is a parking lot on the other side of the playground with a bridge that goes over that little creek to that area as well. So there's 2 places to park and 2 ways to access that area. Another question? Anyone else? Okay. Equipment pickup. Many of you have done this already. Everyone as a coach, as a head coach, gets an equipment bag for the season, and this has got everything you're going to need to host practice and go through these lesson plans with your teams. It's going to have bats, it's going to have balls, helmets, catcher's equipment if needed. That's basically anybody but T-ball. What else is in there? Tees are in there for T-ball teams. Everything you need to host practice is in those bags. So many of you have picked those up already. Some of you have already talked to me about picking them up after this meeting. That's okay. We will make a quick run over there for anyone that would like to get those tonight that hasn't yet. So just make sure you let me know before we take off afterwards and head over there. If you have any issues with equipment this year, something breaks, a strap breaks, a clip breaks, the bag rips, anything like that, let us know, we'll get it replaced for you, okay? We don't want you playing with unsafe equipment. So you can contact me, you can contact Rosie. Either one of us can make sure that you receive replacement equipment, okay?
Hey Nate,
Yes,
your projector's about to turn off.
thank you. Did it anyway. Luckily, support staff is here. Okay. That's equipment. Contacting teams, scheduling practice and practice expectations. I know we've got probably a few questions about that. First of all, I'm hopeful that most of you have contacted your teams now that rosters are out. Those went out last Friday, I believe, by email. Make sure you're at least reaching out to your teams this week if you have not done so already. Make sure you're letting them know who you are, that you will be coordinating practice, and that you will be in touch with them about any details they need to be made aware of. We also did send out an email to all program parents last week defining our expectations for the year, both behavioral and logistical, okay? So this set of expectations should help you. They know what to expect from you. They know what's expected of them. And I'm hopeful that will alleviate problems before they pop up. Okay. Sometimes those interactions can be the most difficult part of the entire season. It's just dealing with different personalities, adult personalities on your own team. Okay. So that can be very challenging. If you find yourself having significant issues and feel that it's not going to be resolved without some involvement from us, let me know, okay? Because that's not the experience we want you to have, and that's not the experience we want the kids involved to have, okay? So make sure you're reaching out to those parents this week. Scheduling practice. If you have attempted to schedule practice already, from the times and dates that I sent you, you're probably realizing that's already starting to run short, meaning we already are having a severe lack of practice times available. There's good news in this. The good news is that we just got some additional fields and times released to us today. So you might want to make a note of this, especially T-ball teams that may not have scheduled anything yet. This T-ball training center that I mentioned, we are going to make those fields available every other night except for Monday for practice, okay? So if you have a T-ball team and you're struggling to find space, or you have space in mind that you're not certain about whether it will be available or not, consider using that space. So you can send an email starting tomorrow to that aprd@appleton.org email that I sent you. And you can request times at that T-ball training center on field 1, 2, and 3, okay? I will send a reminder to all coaches tomorrow by email with those details, okay?
Did you say every other night?
Every night except for the nights we're playing games. So every night except for Monday. What's that?
Until 7?
Until dark, really. So I believe until, yeah, so probably 7 to 8 would be the I mean, once we get past 7, with that age, it's a little iffy, but I would say those are probably available till 8 o'clock. I think those fields honestly would also be usable for modified teams that are looking for space still as well. You don't, with the velocity at which the coaches are pitching those in, the backstop is not all that necessary for practice. So if you're a modified coach, girls or boys, and you are also in need of space, consider that area as well. That's available for your use if you need it. Okay, they are lined, they do have foul lines. They will have base locations, so that's available. Is there a question?
I sent the email to that email address this afternoon, and sent a response saying that they'll let me know when those fields are complete.
Okay.
So when
They were literally-
enough time to notify the parents to.
They were literally getting them into the system as reservable spaces this afternoon.
Okay.
So if you check in with them tomorrow, I received a confirmation that they're ready to go. Okay.
Perfect.
Any other questions about that space? The other space I want to mention is Woodland Park, which is on the southeast side of town. We have availability at that ball diamond there as well. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So basically everything except Monday and Wednesday. Appleton Little League has that field reserved on Monday and Wednesday for games, but any other evening it's available as well. So that just got released to us today as well.
Is that Horizon School?
Yeah, okay. Okay, so make a note of that. So that is a full ball diamond. That would be applicable to anybody, really. Okay? So that's good news. So if you struggle to find space to practice, consider those two options. I think that will help alleviate some of that stress, okay? Any other questions about fields?
About the rest of the fields in the city, are they available on first come, first served, or?
A lot of actual ball diamonds are being used by other baseball organizations. Appleton Little League is a good example. They do have a standing agreement with the city of Appleton to utilize certain spaces. So in a lot of those cases, those will not be reservable because they have a standing reservation on many of those spots. Now, open space, different story. Open space is non-ball diamond space. Those areas are definitely first come, first served.
How do we know if they're really hands or not? Are there any?
The only ones I can tell you for sure are available are the ones I mentioned. So Memorial Park, this park, Woodland Park, and then the three fields back here. Even though the Memorial Park times were a little staggered at times, we did still have quite a bit of availability, particularly on the weekends. That we have a couple of weekends where there are tournaments coming through here, but when there's no tournaments here. Those fields are wide open. I think Friday was another night that had quite a bit of availability. It's not ideal in some cases, but those are the only fields I can tell you that certainly that are available.
Is there a way we can contact to see what fields are being reserved by that
Oh, that's a good question. I've got a list of all those fields that Appleton technically has hold of. Ball diamonds.
Little League pretty much has the majority of the rest of the ball
Except for the
diamonds
ones I
that are park ball diamonds, except for the ones that Nate mentioned. So I wouldn't go and test your luck on those. So I think they're reserved pretty much every single day
Yeah.
throughout the summer. So
The ball diamonds with the dirt infields are tough to come by. Green spaces are a little bit more flexible. For example, I live by Johnston School, and if you know Johnston School, that's a large area behind the school there. They have a ball diamond. I know that ball diamond gets used very frequently.
So they need to have like a dirt infield to be considered like an actual ball diamond.
Yeah. And a backstop.
You heard about doubling up one of the fields, like one of the actresses in the outfield areas, it's fairly large field.
I've heard that mentioned, and I know coaches that know each other in some cases have set that up where they just kind of practice at the same time. I think that particularly works well with the younger ages where distance isn't as much of an issue. I'm certainly open to that. So if you are a coach that has a space reserved and you're willing to share that space, I'm certainly willing to consider that and make that available. Good questions. Anybody else with a thought?
I called and they told me that Little League had them from Monday to Friday. Those are weekends open.
Which?
For those fields for all the schools.
I can tell you that weekends where there's no tournaments here at Memorial Park, there's a lot of availability of those fields. So the weekends we do not have tournaments hosting here. Those fields have a lot of availability. I can't say that same thing for school grounds.
I know last time when I was for T-ball, my previous part, that one was used pretty much every day, but I didn't check the weekends. Well, so I
don't know. If you see a ball diamond that's going unused, and when you want to practice, you're certainly more than welcome to use it. Recognizing that someone may show up at any time and say, I have a permit for this space, and that would take precedent. Okay? So if you're using a space that's not permitted to you, you would have to yield to someone who does show up and say, I have the paperwork that shows we get this spot. Okay, so I can answer more questions about that later, we'll move on. T-shirt pickup. It's going to be Wednesday and Thursday, June 3rd and 4th at our office, which is just on the east end of the park. It's the facilities management office, just off of Gallery there. So I will send you more details when I have the times locked in for that, but Wednesday and Thursday, June 3rd and 4th, that's when we're going to do T-shirt pickup. Concussion forms, I mentioned this in the last email, concussion forms and emergency contact forms have been sent to all of the parents, okay? Those forms are collected by you. So they bring those signed forms, they hand them to you, and that's what they need to give you for them to practice and participate in games. You will be bringing those forms back to us when you pick up shirts. So you hand me a pile of all of your players' forms, I hand you a pile of shirts. That's the easiest way we can get those back, and it's the easiest way you can get them to us, okay?
Do you have any extra ways to have those forms in case the parents show up at the first practice and they didn't bring the form, that we could supply that for them to sign?
I have a PDF of it, of the packet that they receive. So, even if your own kids are in this program, you should have received that packet.
I didn't get it.
I saw an email.
There was an email that went to parents last week with a link in about the second paragraph that said that the attachment to the concussion form. Did you get the constant contact email?
I saw the email.
It's in that, it's a link inside that email. So there was a constant contact email that went out to all program parents on Friday. I believe it was last Friday. No, was it this? I think it was this. What's that? On the 19th. So that was this Monday. Yes, this is it here. That's right. So there's a link about 2 paragraphs down with the red writing in the link. If you click on that link, it will load the PDF. That's the packet. So it has information, and then it's a form that needs to be signed at the very end, and then the emergency contact form after that. You didn't get that email.
No, I didn't get the first coach's email either.
Neither did I.
So I wonder if that might be the issue.
We might not have the right email. See me afterwards so I can get your correct contact
One,
form.
what I didn't is the payer one.
Interesting.
I think if your kid was registered before, it might have went to a different address. Like, my forms all went to my wife.
Yeah, I would use, the parent emails would go to whoever registered the child.
No, okay, so.
See me afterwards to make sure we get the right contact info.
Hey Nate, just in regards to the forms too, if you guys want us to print out some additional forms for you guys to have in case they don't bring them, recognizing that some coaches aren't even getting them, just let us know. You can stop by the office and we'll print some out for you. I mean, we don't expect you guys to be using your paper and printers at home, so we can do that. Just give us a heads up and we'll have them ready for you. And you might want to talk about the whole concussion law thing has really changed, and our legal department is very strict on us. You guys might notice that if you registered for Pop Warner, Little League, or other things before, sometimes they'll just have a checkbox when you register and that's sufficient. Our legal department says, based on what the law states, we have to have a signature, not only from the parent. So that was, in the past we've used the parent. Now this year, they're making it, because according to the law, the athlete has to sign the form as well.
Yep.
So we argued the point, okay, I have a 5-year-old who's playing this year who can barely write his name. And they said, as long as you can get them to make an X or some note. And, of course, Nate and I are looking at each other going, oh, okay, so how well is this going to go over and how awkward will this be? So on the forms, you will get questions from parents. They might say, well, I signed it, but my kid, they can't sign it. Have them put an X or have the kid make an X or something, but it is supposed to be, if they're asked, did you go over the information with your child? Do they understand? These are some effects. I mean, even at 5, they want us to do this. So you might notice if you've coached for us in the past that is a change, that they are expecting us to get the athlete's signature as well. So just a heads up on that in case you get questions. But yes, we can print forms for you guys if you want to, just to have some on hand, and I would highly recommend doing that.
Are the forms available on the website?
Concussion forms?
I don't know if they did, or We will put them on the website.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
get
that'd
it
be
put
a
out
good
there.
place to get them.
We'll take our coaches, because has everyone been receiving the coaches' emails from Nate? We'll just take that and send a mass email to just the coaches with the concussion forms, and you guys can push that out as a reminder then.
Yep. I'll include that tomorrow with a reminder about additional practice times. Get that information to you. I'll actually jot that down. Okay. Any other questions about concussion forms? Okay. Team pictures. Most important item on the agenda, right? Team pictures, July 6th and 7th. We will have an actual schedule for every team when you're going to get your pictures. We'll try to make this as pain-free as possible. We do have a very good photographer who's got this pretty streamlined, and I'm expecting that it will be relatively painless. So as we get a little closer to that date, I will provide you with a schedule for when your team is expected to appear for those pictures, okay? Weather hotline. Hopefully we won't have to use this too often this year, but if you are curious about rainouts, that's the number to call. We will update this by 3 p.m. With any information related to cancellations, okay? And we went over coaches' packets. So any questions about general league overview stuff? Anything we didn't address specifically that is still vague? Yes.
If there is a cancellation, is it the coach's job to reach out to all of his, or is it?
What we will do in the event of a cancellation is update this line. Do we make parents aware of this line? I think we do.
Actually, the best thing for you guys to do is they'll get a schedule. It's at the top of the
Yeah,
schedule.
right.
Remind them, let them know, say, in essence of time, more likely than not, you won't have time to contact them. So to call this number that's on top of their schedule, so point that out to them. The other thing is we will, depending on what time we make cancellations, we'll post it to our Facebook page
Right.
and on our website. So if you just search Appleton Parks and Recreation on Facebook, that's usually the easiest location. Everyone seems to check that before websites
Yeah.
these days. So,
That's
but
the
this
best
is
way to
just
get
a,
real time info out there. Absolutely.
it's a pre-recorded message. You'll just say, okay, for Monday, June 8th, all T-ball, softball, baseball games have been canceled due to inclement weather. So that's all it is. It's just a pre-recorded message. But this is the best way to let the parents know, hey, use this phone number, don't call me. Otherwise they'll all call you.
Right. Any other questions about the league overview? Yes.
Everything scheduled up for parents? Or is that our?
I would prefer that information come from you, because then when there's questions, I don't get bombarded with 60 different calls about a particular game. So I would prefer that information come from you.
If you have the schedule in PDF, you can email it.
Yes, that should have come, well, no, that didn't come in the coach. Yes, I'll send that as well. I'll send that as well. Good. I'll send you guys your scheduled PDF so you can forward on. It's good we're having this conversation. All right. Any other thoughts, questions? All right. Now, is this video thing running?
Yep.
Oh, it is, okay. Okay. Anyone need a potty break? Now's a good time. All right, so we're going to get into the coaching presentation. There's a lot of information here. I will go through it relatively quickly. There will be a couple spots where we can stop and have a conversation about it. But in general, what this is going to be is an explanation of where our stance is on youth sports in general. And then that will lead us into a conversation about baseball in particular, okay? Baseball and softball in particular. So, something that is a big priority for us this year is making sure that our volunteers, our coaches, our staff are representing the values that we define for our program. And we've gotten very bold about defining what that is. I think Park and Rec sports, not just here, but in general, nationwide, has kind of become that program you do when you don't want to pay a lot of money, or when you don't, it's somehow that's become equivalent with quality. I don't like that. I don't like that equation. So instead of letting others define what we're about, this is our attempt to define what we're about. Okay? So as we're going through this, we're going to talk about what we believe to be true about youth sports, how we want to see our leagues operate, and the values we want to see our coaches express to parents and kids in the way they lead these groups. Okay? So the agenda for this, we're going to try to get a better understanding for today's youth sports landscape. I have the luxury of being able to research this and be in it every single day. So I have what I believe is a good understanding of what the youth sports landscape is. For the rest of us, maybe not. So maybe this will be enlightening to some of you. Current challenges that we face in the youth sports world and the importance of coach training. You'd be amazed how few departments actually do coach training. It's fairly worrisome to me. We're going to talk about our philosophy and our vision for the Appleton Park and Recreation Department Youth Sports Program. We're going to talk about what it means to be a coach. You can see I've got that moniker there, so we'll get into what those bullet points mean. Sorry, I'm going to be away. Preparing for game day. We're going to talk about instruction. We're going to talk about what's called the IDEA method of instruction. We're going to talk about how to engage with kids effectively, which is sometimes the most stressful part of coaching. We're going to talk about safety, injuries, concussions, first aid, abuse, and then we'll wrap it up and we'll get into our final segment, okay? As we look at the youth sports landscape, are there any common beliefs that you have? Anything that you can share about what you believe to be true about youth sports?
Should be fun.
Should be fun. Good one.
Teamwork.
Teamwork's a good one.
Fundamentals.
Fundamentals is a good one. Good. Those are three great words to define youth sports. About any urban legends you may have heard? Oh, youth sports is getting so... I wish that were an urban legend. Too competitive.
Parents.
It's about parents, yeah. Okay.
Classic Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah. Get out of the base! Right? The Peyton Manning skit, right? Well, here's the facts about the youth sports landscape. Children who participate in a variety of sports, experience, first, a deeper enjoyment of all of their activities, both sports and non-sports related. They exhibit increased personal motivation, okay? They're able to keep themselves motivated and driving forward in their life. I think this is an important one. They get to experience firsthand the process of struggle, learning, practice, and perseverance. So this is a strategy that serves them regardless of their interests. Music, art, sports, academics. This is a process they're going to use throughout their lives, and sports is a great way to introduce it to them. They tend to lead significantly more active lives as adults. In relation to high school athletes tend to have higher grades, exhibit more leadership qualities, have higher self-esteem, and graduate at a higher percentage. And they exhibit lower frequency of drug and alcohol use. All positive takeaways. Here's the good, the bad, and the ugly of the youth sports landscape. Here's the good. We'll start with the good. In 2013, 40% of kids ages 6 through 12 participated in at least one organized sport. Sounds like a decent number. If we include individual sports like swimming, running, etc., that number increases to 70%. That also sounds good. Well, here's the bad. In 2008, that number was 45%. So we've lost 5% from participation in team sports overall, or organized sports overall, I should say. Participation in team sports is generally declining. Basketball is down 4%. Baseball is down 15%. Soccer is down 11%. Softball down 30%. I think we all saw this one coming. Football down 30%. You know, concussions are in the news a lot, and that creates fear. The ugly. In my field, I hear this stat a lot, and it's alarming every time I hear it. 70% of kids stop participating in sports entirely by the age of 13. Girls drop out at a rate twice that of boys. Okay? Question?
Well, with the last stat there, I also noticed that a lot of, like, Parks and Rec for going on programs for a lot of them.
Yeah.
And that's where I see a lot of my oldest, for instance,
Yeah.
nothing good.
We've been talking a lot about that. How do we get these kids? How do we retain these kids? If you look at our program numbers, it starts out real high at the young ages. Go tick, 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 tick. So what's going on? I think you're gonna see some interesting things in here. Beyond the age of 13, the dropout rate for girls increases to 6 times that of boys, with only 17% of girls participating in any physical activity. That's alarming. Okay, youth sports landscape continued. So youth sports is in the news a lot, both for good reasons and bad reasons. I think you've all probably heard the story of Jackie Robinson West Little League team. That they were the United States Little League baseball champions last year. They had their title stripped after discovering coaches and administrators had been poaching players from neighboring league teams, making them ineligible to win that tournament. So that was in the news quite a bit. That was a big dilemma, what to do with them. Here's one that's a little more local. Wrestling sectionals in Oconomowoc this past spring actually, or winter. February 2015. There was a physical confrontation in the stands between a mother and a father of participants from opposing teams. Racial slurs directed towards wrestlers and parents. Disorderly conduct and battery charges. That sounds like a great event. This is one I like. You know, those are some bad stories, but there's some good ones too. Mount St. Joseph's basketball. This one's been in the news recently because there was a development with this individual. There was coordination between 2 opponents to reschedule a basketball game to allow a woman by the name of Lauren Hill an opportunity to compete while fighting terminal brain cancer. And the proceeds from that game benefited cancer research. So this was a very low-level NCAA program, and they filled Xavier University's arena, filled it, sold it out in about 2 hours, and 11,000 to 12,000 people in the stadium to watch this game for this reason, and all that money was donated to benefit cancer research. Here's one that's very close to home as well. Tegan Monfiles is her name. She was a Shawano High School cross-country runner who stopped, this is a picture of her right here. Shawano High School cross-country runner stopped 100 yards from the finish line to help a runner from an opposing team, which disqualified them both. And when they interviewed her afterwards, asked her if she had any regrets, absolutely none. She had no regrets, would have done it again. I think that's a fun story too. So here's some challenges facing youth sports. You know, with that foundation in place here, or with that understanding in place, here's the challenges we face. This is going to get into your point a little bit too. Retention of both athletes and coaches. Retention is a big issue. Inclusion is a big issue, especially for late bloomers. I am certain that this year in 5th and 6th grade baseball and softball, there are some kids who have never played before. So how do we make it so that they feel they can be an active part of this program and not being a constant, not be a detriment to the team, but be a benefit to the team? How do we improve our inclusion? How do we provide opportunity for the late bloomers? How do we remove barriers to participation, both in ability, financial ability to participate, and geographical ability to participate? Training of coaches. Only 1 in 3 coaches receives training or skill development in lesson planning. Only 1 in 3. Only 1 in 5 coaches receives any training in technique, communication, and engagement. There's also the club culture and the myth of specialization. The belief that I'm going to get a much better experience, I'm going to be better situated if I put my child in the club versus the local municipal program. And specialization is a good point too. The idea that you need to specialize at a young age to have any chance of being part of that team when you're older. We see specialization reaching down as young as 7, 8 years old these days. I think that's a sad situation. As we mentioned before, variety is a key. It's a key point. Emphasis on winning and performance versus development and improvement. How we measure success is a challenge. Importance of coach training. Why do we do this? We want better engagement and communication with players, right? We want to know how to connect with them. We want fewer conflicts with officials, parents, and staff. I don't know anyone who enjoys conflict, so we want to reduce conflict, right? Effective representation of the core league beliefs, which we'll get into in more detail shortly. Increased enjoyment of the experience. And this is not just for the kids, this is for you too. Make it more rewarding for both the coach and the player. Development of a league reputation, which results in increased participation. So as people find out, boy, that Appleton Park and Rec baseball program was a great experience. My kid learned a lot. The coach was knowledgeable. She was great at communicating with my child. It was a very positive experience. Those thoughts get shared. And when people are looking for a program to get their child into, that holds a lot of weight. So that's what we're shooting for here, trying to develop our league reputation. Less turnover of volunteers and more satisfaction from those volunteers. We want this to be a positive experience for you, like I mentioned. When coaches communicate effectively and are trained in skills and tactics, participant attrition is 5%. That means when our coaches are effective, when our staff is effective, we only lose 5%. We only see 5% turnover each year. When coaches are untrained, so programs where the coaches go untrained, that participant attrition rate goes up to 26%. That's far too significant to be just a random fact, that there's something to this. This has direct impact on the experience the participants have. So here we get into the philosophy and vision of Appleton Park and Rec Youth Sports. We spent a lot of time this spring trying to define exactly what it is we believe in and getting that down on paper so that this can guide all of our programs, not just baseball, not just flag football, not just basketball, guide them as a whole. Our philosophy as a program is to introduce and develop the skills needed for lifelong enjoyment of sports in a setting that is inclusive, engaging, and centered on fun and sportsmanship. That picks up on a lot of the words you all used when I had that question up earlier. So I think it's great that we're there with each other here. That yields 5 core beliefs. Inclusion is a core belief of our program. Skill development and progression. Seeing that visible development as they go from week 1 to week 7. Sportsmanship is critical. Safety is critical. And fun is critical. Okay? Those are our 5 core beliefs. Our vision is to offer a balanced variety of programs that consistently provides all kids an opportunity to explore, learn, and improve upon their skills and abilities. This is kind of a buzzword going around in our circles lately, but we want to promote physical literacy by age 12. So what physical literacy means is it's the ability, the confidence, and the desire, typo, to be physically active for life. You've gained the skills, you're confident in those skills, and you want to go show those skills off for your entire life. And we want to provide our staff and coaches with training and tools that they need to provide that consistent, positive, rewarding experience to the kids. Any questions about that? Okay, that's high level stuff. Now we're going to start getting into some more specific things about coaching. Coaching is a rewarding frontline opportunity to be a shining example of everything that is great about sports. And there are a lot of great things about sports. As a coach, you're a role model, you're a teacher, and you're the tone setter. You're responsible for creating that atmosphere of learning, sportsmanship, and fun. They're looking to you to set that tone. The kids are looking at you, 15 sets of eyes. To be a great coach, I've talked to a few of you on the phone over the last few weeks, and you may have heard me say this. To be a great coach, you don't need to be great at the sport, you simply need to be great with kids. That's the number one thing. You need to be great with kids. You need to truly enjoy the experience of working with kids. We can give you the materials. We can give you the lesson plans. We can give you the support. If there's something physical and material that you need, we can provide that to you. I can't give you the personality or the demeanor to lead and engage kids. That's something you either have in you or you don't, okay? So, that should put a lot of minds at ease. If you were a scholarship college baseball player, that's awesome, great. I'm thrilled that we have that kind of experience for our kids to learn from, but I'm more concerned that you have the ability to take that group of kids and really show them the joy of playing baseball. And to show them the joy, you have to have that joy yourself, okay? 5 core traits of a successful youth coach. COACH. So here we get into the moniker. Comprehension. Your ability to understand the age-appropriate skills and strategies needed to be successful at your given level. Means you can learn it. Outlook. The importance of a positive outlook. Affection. Understanding the emotional needs of your kids in your care during that hour. And character, conducting yourself with integrity as a model for your players and the parents. You're also coaching your parents, in case I didn't mention that. I would put a big star by that one. Humor. The ability to laugh at yourself, laugh at situations, and create a fun, enjoyable learning environment free from anxiety and pressure. When do kids have fun? That's when they have fun. Okay? You've got to have a sense of humor about yourself and about the situation. So, 4 main responsibilities of a coach. First, providing a safe environment for your players. So we'll discuss this a bit more on a later slide. But if you're not creating a safe environment, none of the other things can happen. Okay? Teaching your players both skills and strategies. Making the experience fun and engaging with a focus on lifelong enjoyment of the activity, not simply winning now. I coach lots of different things. So I know the pressure we put on ourselves. We want to win this game. We want to win this league. I get it, okay? But there's more to it than this. As you look at a 7 or 8-year-old, this is not just about winning a 7 or 8-year-old league. This is about instilling in them a fire for this game and the ability that they will have then to go on and enjoy it for the rest of their lives, either watching it